Hello everyone, I am Bhola Bhatrai from Nepal. I am associating with Association of Collaborative Forest Users Nepal, which is called EcoFun in a short. So it is a national network of collaborative forest user groups of Nepal. So today I'm going to talk about community-based forestry in this forum. So I am focusing on the achievements of community-based forestry in Nepal. So I will talk about this country background shortly, and then forestry for Nepali society, which is also very important aspect, that how the marginalized, poor and vulnerable communities are associating with forestry, and community-based forestry in Nepal. So based on this, the importance of forestry for Nepali society, how community-based forestry is supporting to them, I'll also talk on this topic. So I will highlight who can be a member of forest user groups following the community engagement in forestry and major achievements of community-based forestry, and conclusion with take-home message. So this is the map of Nepal. It lies between China and India. The total area of Nepal is 140 million hectares. And if we talk about forestry, almost 45 of the total land is covered by forestry. So previously it was 39.6%, but after the implementation of community-based forestry in Nepal, the forest area is increased. So when we calculate the forest area, when we talk about forestry for Nepali society, we can say that forest is a source of people like who are depending on forest to bring firewood, timber, other non-timber forest product for their lives and livelihoods. So we can say that the huge number of the local community villagers are depending on forestry, and as per the process, like the local community are exercising democratic system, democratic self-governance to manage forestry. So that is also a very interesting part which I will talk later on. Similarly, it is very important to conserve and manage biodiversity as well as different ecosystem, because Nepal is divided into different ecological zone. Like we have mountain, we have hill, and we have plain area. We have different ecosystem in different ecological region. So when we talk about the forestry, that community decision is also very important dimension when we talk about the forest management in Nepal. So if we talk about community-based forestry in Nepal, you can say that more than 30,000 local community forest user groups, they are protecting, managing and utilizing forest resources. We have different types of community-based forestry. You can see community forestry, we have 22,625 forest user groups all over the country and managing the almost 1/3 of Nepal's total forest area. And we have 77 districts. Almost all of the districts have community forestry user group, and those community-based forest user groups are managing and utilizing forest resources. Likewise, we have collaborative forest. It is implementing in the southern part of Nepal, especially in Tarai, the plain area. We have 32 forest user groups, collaborative forest user groups, and they are managing 85,000 hectares of forest, which is implementing in 13 Tarai districts of Nepal. Like if you see, the collaborative forest is those kind of forest who those area that which has very big chunk of forest, and there is a collaboration among different stakeholders. For example, local government, the community and the Ministry of Forest, they have very good collaboration to manage, utilize and the use of forest resources. Likewise, we have very, unique type of community-based forestry, which is called leasehold forest. It is for to the pro-poor community, like within a community, people who are marginalized, who are below poverty level, and they can have access. They can get access to the forest, land as well as forest resources to use those forest resources. So currently we have 7,419 groups. Like, it is not a member, like total groups. So almost 42,000 and plus hectares of forest is under this leasehold forestry. It shows that the overall, we can say that more than 40% of the total national forest is under the community-based forest management system in Nepal, where more than 30,000 forest user groups, the community members, people who are depending on forest are, making their organization, they are mobilizing and utilizing forest resources. So this is the kind of, the very unique model of community-based forestry, which we have been practicing since last 30 years in Nepal. So when we talk about community-based forestry, in case of Nepal, we can say that more than 40% of population of the country are involving in, the community-based forestry systems. So almost all those, people who are depending on forest are, poor and marginalized indigenous peoples who are engaging in these, forest management system. So if we see, if we can, see that the governance system in each and every household, one male and one female must be, the member of forest user groups. That means when we talk about the gender dimension, it is very uniquely integrated in the forest user governance. And also in the each and every committees that, the 30,000 committees are there. And in each and every committees, there must be 50% of women in the committee in the decision-making level. So this is a kind of, autonomous entity who can, manage forest and the biodiversity for their lives and livelihoods. So when we talk about the benefit sharing, in community forestry, 100% of the benefits goes to community. In collaborative forest, 50% of the income from the forest resources that will goes to community, and in leasehold forestry, 100% benefits can utilized by the poor people. So in the same times, when they earn money, like they can sell timber, they can determine price by themselves, and when they sell timber and non-timber forest to the market, then as per the income, they must allocate the 35% of their income to the poor people. So it is a kind of, the self-governance system that have been practicing in the community-based forestry in Nepal. And it is also see that we can observe that the government and other stakeholders have very good collaboration to manage forest and to utilize forest resources. So when we talk about engagement of community, the community members, all of the household associating with one particular forest user groups, they must participate. They, they can contribute during the development process of forest management plan. And also they engage in patrolling, thinning and cleaning activities of the forest resources that are, managing by those groups. So they also conduct, they frequently, different meetings like public hearings, general meetings, executive committee meetings, so that those, these forest user groups are institutionalized in the grassroots level. So I also talk about the women's participation in decision-making level. You can see that it is a kind of unique, model of the governance that the benefit are also, dividing to the different, groups of people. So when we talk about the local development, like the human resources, forest user groups are providing a lot of capacity building, the activities like formal and informal learning system. And also they are allocating their, fund for different infrastructure and other economic development aspect. You can see different activities that have been done by forest user groups in the bottom of the slides. So it is also kind of, the governance system, like all the household of the particular community groups are, sitting together, talking together, and making some decision, from the consensus basis. So when you talk about the networks of forest user groups, they are working in one particular villages, but when we see their relation that from local to district and national and global level, they are very unique, networking among different stakeholders, including universities, government, non-government, and other stakeholders who are directly or indirectly, engaging with forest management system. So from the efforts, we can say that there are a lot of the achievements we have got from forest management. For example, community forestry development is a process to conduct by community members. So this is the efforts of community members, not from others. So they bring people together. When we talk about the bringing people together, means they are institutionalizing their democracy, their governance system in the grassroots level, and it is also helping people to identify the problem and needs within a community, and it also supporting to the people to discover the resources that they are already have. That means the forest user groups, the forestry and groups, they have resources, they have knowledge, they have the experiences. Then when they come together and they discuss together, they can explore and discover new resources. And it is also promoting knowledge, skills, and confidence among the groups. And it is also strengthening organization and leadership within communities. Likewise, social relation, it is also strengthening social relationship between and among communities and promoting ecological integrity for the long-term sustainability of the forest, biodiversity, and community members. We can say that the community forest user groups, they themselves, promoting different community-based enterprises, different industries like handmade paper, different candy and timbers, furniture industries. They have been establishing and making profit from the forest management. Also creating a lot of job, they are managing forests and creating job to the local people. So likewise, when we talk about the environmental sustainability, we can see that from this photograph. The first one was taken in 1978 and second one is 2005. So when we compare the efforts of, during this 1978, the forests were managed by government, and after 1990s, the forest is handed over to the community, and the whole degraded gray land is converted into green land. So that is a kind of example that community forestry user groups have been demonstrating in our country. So the contribution of community-based forestry, when we talk about the changes, transformation, we can say that there is a lot of structural changes, socioeconomic integration and institutional development and renewal of the efforts of local groups that we can observe within the community forestry system. And also they are collecting problems, solving approach and using self-help and empowerment by themselves. Build 5 capitals of community. For example, they are building physical capital, financial capital, human capital, social and environmental capital. And also development, they are not just focusing on growth, they are focusing on integrity that the community have been supporting to manage forestry. And also using this forest management system to change their cultural behavior, and also teaching to their coming generation a kind of value system, and respecting local and indigenous practices, which is supporting to balance the 3 dimensions of development like social, environmental, and economic. When we talk about the sustainable development goals, community forestry have been practicing all those, the different goals since last 30 years in our country. So finally, I'm going to conclude my presentation that community forestry is a process and that leads to not only more jobs. They are not focusing on more jobs, income and infrastructure. It is also contributing to the communities that are better able to manage change in society, the transformational change. They are focusing on it, and community members can better mobilizing existing skills. They have a lot of skills which we had to, strengthen and reframe their problem. And when we, facilitate to reframe their problem, they will be able to solve those problems and work cooperatively and use community assist in a new ways. So this is my conclusion, and I have final slides that is going to talk about take-home message. When we talk about community forestry, it provides, especially the policy provides space for community. So I would like to highlight that if the government provide policy environment to the community, and then community can manage forest properly. And it is also an opportunity to enhance partnership with different other agencies. If the community will have that self-governance, the rights, then it will provide that space. And community itself engage in a process to improve the social, economical, and environmental situation in the country. And the community forestry helps to institutionalize forest user groups at grassroots level, which is also supporting to sustain the local efforts, which local community, indigenous people had been practicing since many generations. So having said that, I would like to conclude my presentation here. Thank you so much. Thank you.